and attack in Manchester has left 22 people dead and 59 injured after a lone male suicide bomber targeted children and young adults at the end of a concert by U.S. singer Ariana Grande. The incident, which has left the nation in shock, is not the first such bombing or terror attack in the city of Manchester or elsewhere in Great Britain over the past 2 decades. Here is a timeline of attacks and attempted attacks. 6 people, including the attacker, died and 50 people were injured after a terror attack near the Houses of Parliament. Khalid Masood mounted the pavement in a hired car and drove into pedestrians on Westminster Bridge. He then ran towards Parliament and stabbed a police officer to death before being fatally shot by armed officers. Thomas Mayer shot and stabbed to death the Labour MP Joe Cox in Bristol, West Yorkshire. Mayer, who accessed extremist websites and was an avid reader of far-right literature, shouted, "Britain first," in the attack. He was given a whole life sentence for the murder. A man attacked 2 passengers with a knife at Leytonstone Station in East London. Muhyiddin Mayer shouted, "This is for my Syrian brothers, I and Apos am going to spill your blood," before he was finally subdued. Mayer, who had a history of mental illness, was jailed for life. The judge at his trial said he had been driven by Islamic extremism. British soldier Lee Rigby was murdered in Woolwich, South East London by Islamic extremists Michael Adebolajo and Michael Adeboale. The men drove into Fusilier Rigby with a car before attacking him with a knife. Adebolajo was given a whole life term and Adeboale was jailed for a minimum of 45 years. A failed suicide nail bomb attack occurred at the Giraffe restaurant in Exeter. Nicky Riley, a Muslim convert, was the only person injured when the homemade device went off in his hands in the restaurant and Apos toilets. Riley was found dead in Manchester prison in 2016. A jeep was driven into the main terminal building at Glasgow Airport in an attempted suicide attack. 5 people were hurt. One of the perpetrators, Kafil Ahmed, died about a month later from severe burns sustained in the crash. The other, Bilal Abdullah, an Iraqi-born doctor, was sentenced to a minimum of 32 years in prison. 2 car bombs were discovered and disabled in London and Apos West End. The first was left near the Tiger nightclub. Police sources said it would have caused carnage if it had exploded. The second was found in a Mercedes after it was given a parking ticket in Cockspur Street and towed to Park Lane. 4 attempted bombings took place exactly 2 weeks after the deadly 7 July blasts. As with the previous plot, the attack targeted the public transport system, but the devices failed to explode. In July 2007, 4 men were each sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 40 years. Coordinated suicide bombings targeted London and Apos public transport system during the morning rush hour. 3 bombs exploded on separate London Underground trains, and a 4th exploded on a double-decker bus. It was the worst terror attack since the Lockerbie bombing in 1988 and left 52 victims dead and 700 injuries. 2 of the bombers. A car bomb planted by the real IRA exploded around midnight in Ealing Broadway. 7 people were injured. The real IRA detonated a car bomb outside BBC Television Centre in West London. The police received a warning shortly before the blast, and 1 London Underground worker suffered deep cuts to his eye from flying glass. David Copeland carried out a 13-day nail bombing campaign that left 3 people dead and 139 injured in London. The hate crime killings separately targeted the Black, Bangladeshi and gay communities in attacks in Brixton, Brick Lane, and Soho. A lorry bomb planted by the IRA exploded in Manchester city centre. The 1,500 kilograms explosive was one of the biggest bombs the IRA detonated on the British mainland and caused massive damage to the Arndale shopping centre and other buildings within a half-mile radius. Nobody died but 212 people were injured.